background on what's happening here for the next couple hours. Rachel Rahman, right over here for the Greater Reading Chamber Alliance and Women to Women. And she has worked really hard in her spare time to develop this program for you today, to bring all the volunteers together. We're going to start out with 2 presentations, and then after the presentations, right around 12 o'clock, most of the other volunteers, the business volunteers, will be here. And then we'll do a little presentation for them about what SRI is. Mr. Seaver and I will do that. And then lunch, so you have a little bit of time until the food, all right? The pizzas may be delivered soon. They're gonna sit in the corner, so you'll be salivating for about an hour. So just prepare yourself mentally for that, okay? But I wanna thank Rachel. Thank you so much for doing all this today. It was a lot of work on her part, so SRI, I think we give her a round of applause for doing it. And so the first presentation we have is from Trish Shermack. I'll give you a little bit of background in Trish, then I'll let you fill in some of the details, but she has presented at the World Water Council of Credit Union Conference in, I don't know how to say this town's name, Gdańsk, Poland, and has presented marketing segmentation sessions for the CUNA Marketing Council, Credit Union Executive Society, Credit Union Insurance Society, the Reinsel, is it Reinsel? LLC, and the Pennsylvania Credit Union League. Now what that should say to you is, this woman has presented all over the world, is looked at to be a leader in what she does. So we are absolutely honored to have you here today, Trish, and I'm going to turn the stage over to you.
Thanks. Thank you. Thanks so much, and thanks for having me today. Thanks, Rachel, for inviting me. And kudos to you guys. I can't believe you guys have volunteered to be here on this beautiful summer day. How many people are 11th and 12th grade? 11th and 12th, most? Okay. 9th and 10th? Okay. Do we have any 7th and 8th graders? No. Okay. So this was kind of geared from 7th to 12th.
And college students.
College students. Woohoo! College students! Wow! All right, so today I'm going to share some experience. I have the privilege of being asked to speak for many organizations. I'm an expert in the credit union and financial services industry. Currently, my job is a director of governmental affairs. So I go to Washington, D.C. I sit in the Senate Banking and House Financial Services Committee meetings. I talk to legislators in D.C., New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. So all of my job is convincing people about something. So when you look at public speaking, what are you doing? What is it all about? And it sounds like some of you have already been asked to give some kind of speech or presentation. Is that true? Do we have somebody in here that has been asked or wants to do some public speaking?
Seriously, how many of you have done public speaking?
There you go. There you go. So you're all a little bit seasoned.
Yeah.
Well, today what we'll talk about is public speaking. We'll talk about things you can do to be successful. Also some tools. Everybody needs a toolbox. Everybody needs a toolbox on where they can go to get some information. And it sounds like you guys are getting a lot of that during this program. Also, we're going to practice. So a lot of my background is from the success of being a Toastmaster. How many have heard of Toastmasters? I'm going to talk a lot about that today. It's an organization, an international organization across the world, speaking clubs that people come together to practice either things that they want to present in public or just to have them be a better speaker. And I'm going to give you some other tools to put in your toolbox to get you to practice. So we're going to do some of that today. Everybody should have 2 sheets. Then you can follow along and take notes, or you don't have to take notes. One is just, it says Visions Federal Credit Union on the top. It's an overview sheet, 2 sides. And the other is a Toastmaster, it's an evaluation sheet. And we'll talk about that and how that could be a helpful tool for you. So what is public speaking? Anybody want to give me what their idea is on public speaking? Pizza's not here yet, I understand. Need some food as you. It's really communicating something. whether it's on that idea, or whether you're selling something, whether you're educating someone on a product or a service, or maybe it's a disaster and people want to know, what do we do in this disaster? Hurricane Florence happened last year, right around this time, and we had a property that was totally destroyed by the hurricane. So we wanted to go to any kind of community function so we could hear what would happen, what were our resources during that disaster. So it's really important when you are giving the public information that you're an expert on what the resources are during your communications. You could be asked to do some kind of church homily, right? So you have to be an expert on whatever you would discuss during that presentation. What I think is really good about public speaking is being a great storyteller. Because people remember stories. They might not remember all the things around it, but if you can capture some stories, how it affected humans or a community, you're really gonna hit a home run as it relates to them remembering the important parts of what you are about to tell them. Does that make sense? Who wants to be a storyteller? I want to be a storyteller. I always want to be a storyteller. Okay, so how to be great? You have to be an expert. And it sounds like you guys are well on your way as STEM folks to being experts in the field. When you're an expert, you can communicate exactly what it is you want someone to learn or someone to, some of you may have to apply for grants, right? Research grants when you get to college or postgraduate. And you want to convince somebody to give you the funds to be able to do that research. If you want to do a Fulbright scholarship, you have to convince someone, right? You're going to do this research on falcons in Mongolia and how all of this falcon training may be going away because there's less than 300 falcon trainers. Right? So you'll find something, you'll be an expert on it, and you have to be able to articulate and communicate what's important about that. Because sometimes there's dollars behind it. It could be very, very on point as to what you need to be able to succeed and go on to some of the things that you want to do. Let's see. Has anybody done, I think somebody, you guys have raised your hand that you've done some public speaking. Tell me how you prepared. Anybody? Want to tell me how you prepared? Go ahead.
I used to practice like in front of a mirror with I did a lot of presentations for science fairs and that kind of stuff. So I'd have my laptop next to me and I would just do it in front of my room at night. And once I kind of had it down, I would go and present to my parents and I did really good in that kind of thing.
Anybody that would listen, right?
Yeah.
So so one of the things, and I'm sorry, what's your name?
Gabby.
Gabby. So one of the things Gabby said is when she was doing her presentation, she would practice, right? Practice all the time in front of anybody who wanted to hear. When you practice, did you ask for feedback?
At the end.
At the end,
Yep.
when you were real comfortable
Yep.
with your presentation?
Yep. I always make sure to add that in because you want to know if there are any questions or different speculations on what you're kind of talking about.
And did your transitions go well, right?
Yeah.
Great, thank you, Gabby. Anybody else? Yes.
I also have one of my friends listen to my thesis presentation in order to make sure that I was speaking at a level that was understandable to a scientist, but maybe not an expert in my field.
So knowing your audience is key, right? When you're doing any kind of presentation, whether it's students, teachers, something technical, and did the language change, your vocabulary within the presentation change because of who you're presenting to? Yeah. So those are really important things, and thank you very much for sharing. Those are important things. You have to know your audience. You have to know what the expectations are. When I was part of the Toastmasters group, and any speaking that I've done for the credit union industry or the Global Women's Leadership Network, there's always been a format. So I'm sure for your thesis and some of the things that you presented on, there's a format. So they want you to follow, excuse me, a specific set of timeline and information that you present. There also might be a timeline, right? You might only have 5 to 7 minutes or 2 to 3 minutes. So before going into any presentation, you want to ask those questions. And if you're not familiar with, oh, I have no idea, let me go find out. Because you want to make sure you're delivering what they want in the time frame that they want. And the other thing is, is there a feedback session? Is there something that they want as part of the outcome of what you're presenting? So Toastmasters, I talked a little bit about it, I'll talk more. They have a lot of, because it's a not-for-profit, they have a lot of free materials on their website. As a Toastmaster, you go to this meeting, and you're in a meeting and you may be talking about yourself, you may be talking about a different topic, but there's always an evaluation. And I've handed out the evaluation to each of you because I think there's some really important points on the back sheet. So anybody who is going for grant money, anybody who is going to do a presentation that requires reporting, you want to know what the outcome is and what you're going to be evaluated on. I think in the back, it really gives you the criteria, the last page where it says evaluation criteria, it gives you some idea from a presentation standpoint, things that people are looking for. So clarity from a speaking standpoint, vocal variety, you don't want to be monotone because people probably won't listen to you or get impact. You want to undulate, right? You want to have an inflection in your voice. Eye contact is really important. How many people have been to a presentation and the person, let's say this is a podium, and they're just reading all the time and then they look up? Anybody ever have that happen to them? Yeah. So it's not as effective. You want to make sure you have eye contact with the audience. And I think a lot of you know that just because where you are in life. But it's always good to know and kind of ingrain in you that's really important. Gestures. If you watch, anybody watch the political debates at all? Have you noticed how many times people are using their hand like this? There are some very powerful gestures that people can use. There's all kinds of seminars, you can Google it, different things. If you're sitting, how you stand, how to get attention to what you're saying just by your gestures. If you watch the political debates, there's classic movements, and you'll see many of them do that and emulate that. So I encourage you to look through some of those, look through some TED Talks, and just look at some of the body language. Audience awareness. Again, when someone's presenting, you want to make sure they're engaged. One of the most memorable times in my life was when I was in Poland, and I took the stage, and there was like 300 people in the audience, and they were putting on headsets, and I'm like, what's going on, you know? They said, oh, they're interpreting me. I was like, really? Yeah, not everybody speaks English. So I knew once those headsets were on, those people were fully engaged because I was being interpreted into all these different languages. Now that's kind of a cool one. So now I've shared my most personal famous success story. Comfort level. It's all about confidence. When you get up to speak in front of people, how confident are you in yourself and what you're presenting? It's about the message. It's about what you're delivering. It's not about you personally. And sometimes when we're presenting, we kind of may mess up, but nobody knows that. Nobody knows you made a mistake. You just keep moving forward. Never apologize. Don't stop and say, oh, I lost my place. Just say, oh, be patient. Here we go. Move forward. It will happen. Trust me. Happened to me probably 2 months ago. Just keep going. Nobody knows you made a mistake. Interest. Are the parties interested in what you do? And you can see the different categories and how the lowest level is up until, hey, I want to be a 5 for everything. And well supported. Do you have the documents? Do you have the information that will support everything that you're talking about? Okay. The other thing, and I think I've seen this with, does anybody know who Simon Sinek is? You want to know who Simon Sinek is. He does some of the greatest TED Talks. He also wrote the book Blink. That's Malcolm Gladwell. Start with Why, Leaders Eat Last. Some really great books. He's great on leadership. So no matter where you choose to go, you're all going to be leaders in something. And he has some great tools out on the internet. I invite you to look at. But one of the things that he talks to people about is look at yourself, picture yourself giving the presentation, picture yourself talking about what you're talking about and having people be engaged. Because some of the hardest times when you're presenting is having an audience that is not engaged, and how do you interact with them. So a lot of times people will ask for audience involvement, and it will kind of get the energy moving. So I invite you again to look at some of these great leaders who are already doing some presentations and offering some advice. You know, the internet is our friend. When I started in this world 26 years ago, we didn't have all these tools that we were able to access. And also invite you to see if somebody else has done anything that you're talking on remotely close and how they have presented it and how it looks and, you know, what did the audience look like. TED Talks, anybody watch TED Talks? Yes, love it. Who's got a favorite TED Talk? Yes.
Amy Cuddy's.
And what's the topic?
It's all about presence and like power posing.
And she's a wiser than
Yeah.
Are you wiser?
this school. She
Oh,
graduated
a wiser.
From a wiser.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So what were some of her things on power posing?
It was like the broader you make yourself, the more confident you feel, and then you're able to believe in yourself, which makes other people also want to believe in you.
Awesome, thanks for sharing that. Anybody else? Favorite TED Talk? TED Talks are your friends. Go watch some TED Talks. Okay. Tools for your toolbox. Research is the most important. Knowing what you're going to speak about and knowing how it's been presented before. Again, I invite you, research Toastmasters. I don't know if they have student clubs that can be formed. I know they have them on colleges and universities. I don't know if you could do them in schools before. Wouldn't that be a great thing to have a club in a school where people get to practice all the time public speaking? But I invite you, they have many free, and this is just one set of free tools. There's another one, we're going to do some table topics and invite people to practice on the fly, how to do a presentation. So they have other things that can just help you be a better speaker, along with practicing in front of the mirror and anybody else who will watch you. One of the first things that you do in Toastmasters is you do what's called an icebreaker speech, and it's all about you, right? So people can talk about themselves pretty comfortably. And what's happened at the end is that an evaluation is done. So all of you would do an evaluation on how I presented, right, my icebreaker speech. And then you'd offer things that were done well and things that were done for improvement. I invite you to use this if you have any presentations that you have to do, similar to what would be an icebreaker, and ask people for feedback. That's the best way to get better. We talked about Google podcasts. We talked about podcasts, listening to podcasts, how people present, their rhythm and how they speak. So some people speak way too fast, right? And some people, when they present, have this nice cadence so that you can follow along, but it moves quickly. So those are always really good tools for your toolbox. One of the things that is on your sheet, I pulled off what are called table topics. So during a Toastmaster meeting, we all take a table topic. Nobody knows what it is. You may be in charge of table topics for the day. You may come in with a list of, we're going to do these to help us each be better speakers. So here are the questions. I just pulled some from the library on Toastmaster website this morning. Okay? I'm going to ask somebody to volunteer to do one, stand up and do an automatic table topic. So here are a couple that may be a little bit easier. When was the last time you tried something new? What was it? How did it make you feel? What do you wish to spend more time doing? Why? What can you do today that you were not capable of doing a year ago? What activities make you lose track of time? What makes you smile and why? If you could grant one wish, what would it be? What's your most prized possession? Why is it so important to you? How would you describe yourself in one sentence? And where would you like to live or travel and why? Okay? Now, if we were in a meeting, you wouldn't know those ahead of time. So my friend, let's just say that you're in charge. Ginger's in charge. Ginger would say, pick on somebody, and she'd randomly ask them one of these questions. And they would say, Madam Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, what can I do today that I wasn't capable of doing a year ago? You always want to repeat the question, right? So you make sure you get it right, a little bit more time to think. And then you would have about 30 seconds to respond. Sound like fun? Who likes to speak on the fly? You know what these are also good for? Conversation starters, because many of you are going to be traveling outside this area. You're going to go on college campus visits. You're going to go meet people in big organizations. And you want to be able to be comfortable starting a conversation. It's so important. So let's just try one or two. Do I have a volunteer? Do I need to pick on somebody? Ginger, who would you pick? Oh, you want to do one? Okay. So which question would you like to do? Can you read it? You don't have a sheet.
Let's do, what makes you smile and why? So, what makes me smile and why? Lots of things make you smile. Jokes are funny, obviously they make you smile, they're intended to make you smile. Your family makes you smile, they love you, they support you, they want you to be happy. Obviously they make you smile. What makes me smile? What makes me happy? What brings joy to my life? What's the light of my life? For me, it's my dogs. They are very compassionate, they're joyful, they're absolutely ridiculous, they're kind of dumb, but you know, so, you know, they offer unconditional love, they offer you support when you need it, and tragically you spend all your money on them and they don't appreciate it that much because they don't realize that the rawhides you get them that they don't even bother to eat when your shoe is right there. They don't realize that those are expensive, but they appreciate the love that you give them and they return it without any conditions. So that's what makes me smile.
Nice job.
How hard was that for you? How hard was that for you?
Not very.
Not very hard. Okay. Because it was something that you're passionate about and that it was easy to speak
I
about.
have some peers.
Great, great segue. And I do want somebody else to do it, but getting involved in clubs, theater, student council, government, all of these athletes, all of these give you an opportunity to stretch yourself and think outside the comfort box. All right, somebody else. Come on, Ginger's not our only star here. We need another person.
Don't look down at your feet.
No, this is fun. This is fun. Who's got the Albright shirt back there? Woohoo, Albright! Yes. What's your name? Marissa? Maritza, would you like to do a favorite topic for us? Sure. Okay. Which one would you like to do? I think one of the easiest ones for me is always, where else would you like to live or travel and why? Okay, all right. Maritza, you're on.
Where would I like to travel? I have been a lot of places. I've been to 4 countries, I think, with my family. I like Washington. I think I want to live there. There are a lot of different types of, there's a lot of mountains and there's a lot of desert areas. There are a lot of windmills and a lot of solar panels. And I'm a big advocate of trying to save the earth and trying to use resources that the earth already has. And I think I want maybe to go into there, so I think living in Washington would help me. I like the earth. I like geology too. And Washington just has a lot of that. I do not want to live anywhere that has a lot of natural disasters, including like California has a bunch, wildfires, mudslides, earthquakes. Washington is above it though, but I think I want to live there. and I love to travel there. I've been there twice or 3 times. I've been to Seattle in Washington, and then I visited my uncle, my great uncle, and my cousins also live there. And I would love to travel to Washington again and live there someday.
Excellent, thank you. The other thing that's important, how many people find that, hey, I may have some interest in what Maritza's doing. I may love the earth, I may have traveled to Washington State. Anybody? Yeah, so it not only connects you to other people that may have the same interest, you probably never knew that about Maritza. And if you did, just fake it. Okay, as my time wraps up here, I wanna talk about something else that's really important, and it's introducing yourself. It was a kind gesture that I had an introduction today. Many of you, when you walk in to be introduced, you're going to walk into a crowd. So you want to have some kind of infomercial about yourself. Just kind of a little quick, hey, here's who I am. My name's Trish Sherman. I believe in possibilities and people. I want to connect people. I believe in financial literacy. And I want to see people succeed. How can I help you do that kind of thing? So what I'd like you to think about, and maybe we can articulate real quickly, is how would you introduce yourself into a new crowd of people? Because you're going to have this experience all the time. And it's easier, honestly, to come into a crowd where people are already talking, because you will be invited to come into that conversation. But how would you do it? Is anybody comfortable doing that now? Anybody? Ginger is. Ginger shook her head right away. Do you have a little infomercial you want to share? How would you do that? Yeah, you want to do it in a kind of a short, 15 to 20 second. What would you say? Go ahead, stand up.
Nobody knows anything about me. Hello, my name is Ginger Hill. I'm from Scranton, Pennsylvania. I've always been interested in science, which is why I'm majoring in biology and biotechnology. At Albright College, my main goal is just to help the world to make the world a better place.
Awesome. You're going to be able to connect with people the more you talk to them. And your network gets bigger, and the next presenter is going to show you how to grow your network even bigger by connecting with people. So I invite you to use some of these tools. I will be around later to answer any questions. I went over a little bit. I hope that you walk away with one thing. You're an expert, practice, and enjoy the ride. You guys have so much to look forward to. Thanks for allowing me to be here.
Sure, click the works. Forward, backward. So, introduction, do you want to do some of your background?
Hi everybody, my name is Ed Burns. This weekend my sister had a graduation party. She just graduated high school. She's the youngest of the 4 of us. And she really wanted to play volleyball, right? She's like, can we please play volleyball? Can we please play volleyball? Can we please play volleyball? Okay, yeah, we'll play volleyball. So we go to set up the volleyball, then we have it all set up and ready to go. And we're missing the anchor strings. You know how volleyball nets have strings to hold it down so it stays taut and you can hit the ball over without it falling down. It was missing them, so she looks at me and her face just fell. And she's my favorite sister. Don't tell my other siblings that. But when she's upset, it just hurts my heart, you know? And she's like, oh, we can't play volleyball. I said, all right, we'll figure it out. So I went to the store, left the party, go to the store, buy a volleyball net, bring it back. Everybody's eating all the food, missed out on the food, which was heartbreaking. I set up the volleyball net, get it all tied up, ready to go. And this weekend it was so hot, so I was just sweating, pouring out sweat. I sit down, and then all the kids come over, and they're like, come on, let's play. I'm like, no! But I went and I played, and it was the most intense game of family volleyball we've ever had. And we were going back and forth, and my young cousin, she served it up. God bless her, she's not that coordinated, so she made it over the net, and we were all ecstatic. It went over, and this kid hits it back, snot-nosed kid, hit it back over, so I jump up and I hit it back to him. And he hits it back to me, and I hit it back to him, and he hit it back to me, and I hit it back to him. Then he hits it back to me, and I jump up as high as I can, and I heard this, and I came down, and I felt like I was the old man up. You know? All right, let's keep playing. This is really great. Yeah. All right. So if I collapse up here, just be patient with me, okay?
You're old.
Right?
Good story.
So my name's Ed Burns. I own a marketing company called Melior. We're in the process. We're going to launch the rebrand and become the Ed Burns Group. We focus on digital marketing, which I like to say means that we teach people how to use the internet responsibly. So there are a lot of people who've worked for a long time in business, and they see that social media is becoming an important part of their future business strategies, and they're not sure how it fits in. So we come in and we help them figure out how to use tools like Facebook, Instagram, and my favorite, which is LinkedIn. Anybody here have a LinkedIn account? Right on, yeah, good. Well, I'm hoping that by the end of the week, everybody will have a LinkedIn set up. That's the action item for today. Who can do that? Who can set up a LinkedIn if they don't have one? That's a solid promise when you raise your hand. That's practically a pinky swear, okay? Which is a solemn oath. So everybody's going to set up a LinkedIn account. What we're going to talk about today is not so much how to set up a LinkedIn account, but more why we want to set up a LinkedIn account. So what we're talking about today is being all in. And whatever you do, I want you to be all in. There was this older man, he was a professor of philosophy at an Ivy League school. He was famous across the world. He had books published. They had him come speak at conferences all the time. And he had just finished a speaking tour, and he thought, you know, I think I need to take some time off. So he took a vacation, and he went to the beach to refresh and rejuvenate. And he decided when he got there that he was going to wake up early the next morning and watch the sunrise. So the next morning, just before the sun comes up, he went outside and he starts walking along the beach. And as he's walking, the horizon starts to turn orange, and the sun starts to crest over the waves. And he sees off in the distance a small figure. And as he gets closer, he thinks to himself, well, it looks like this figure is dancing. That's weird. And he gets closer and he realizes that it's a young boy. He gets closer and he realizes that this young boy is reaching down and picking something up off the sand and throwing it into the ocean. And he gets close enough to see that the young boy is reaching down and picking up starfish and throwing them out to the waves. And he says, young boy, what are you doing? The young boy looked up at him, surprised, and he said, well, the tide's going out and the sun's coming up. And there are all these starfish on the beach. And if they stay there, out of the water, the sun's going to dry them out and they'll die. And the old philosopher scoffed. Ha! Young boy, don't you understand? Look to the east, look to the west, look north, look south. The whole beach is covered in starfish. For miles up and down the coast, there are starfish. You could never possibly make any difference. The young boy squinted his eyes and looked the philosopher right into his eyes, and he reached down and he picked up a starfish and he hurled it with all his might into the waves, and he said, I made a difference to that one. The philosopher stopped. He was so embarrassed, because here was a man who was invited to travel all around the world to teach people how to live. And this little boy taught him a lesson. So who here has ever felt a little rebellious? Be honest, it's okay. This is a great time to be a rebel. But the thing about rebels is most rebels are rebelling against the wrong things. And if you're rebelling against the wrong things, you'll spend your whole life as a miserable rebel, and you'll never make a difference. So, when I went to high school in Berks County, all I wanted to do was leave Berks County. So I did. I went down to Florida, I went to college there, made some new friends, was going to school, and it was beautiful, 80 degrees every day. And one day, as I was sitting on a bench in Florida, watching these little geckos crawling over my feet, so cute, I looked up and I thought, I am absolutely miserable. I'm in the most beautiful place in the world, all these nice people, but I was miserable. Because what I realized at that time is that everything that I wanted to leave when I left Berks County, I couldn't possibly leave because I lived right in there. And everything that I wanted to get away from, I carried with me. And I realized that that wasn't a good way to live. So I dropped out of school. My mom didn't like that, so I wouldn't recommend dropping out of school. It's not the normal way. Came back to Pennsylvania, went to Penn State Berks, and started realizing that what it takes to be happy has everything to do with how you treat other people. That if you can do what that little boy did, one person at a time, making a difference, just by sharing a smile, or a kind word, by being thoughtful, you can change the world, one person at a time. And you'll find that you're a lot happier. So when I came back here, I launched a business as I was getting ready to graduate from college. I was talking to this guy, he said, hey, do you need a job? I said, heck yeah, I need a job. I need some pizza money. And so I started building some websites, then did email marketing, then social media. Then he started giving me my own clients, and then when it got time to graduate college, I thought, hey, I can do this. I had no idea what I was doing, and I've been figuring it out ever since. And it's been a lot of fun. So we're going to hit 5 years in business in just a couple weeks. Life's pretty good. So that's my story. And the thing is, each person has a story. Everyone you meet has a story. And I think what Trish touched upon, the importance of connecting with other people. The best way to connect with other people, I think, is to find out their story. Because when you learn someone else's story, especially when you dive into it, you find that there's something there to connect with. Even people you may not like. You might meet somebody and you don't like them at all. But if you take the time to listen to their story, listen to the struggles and hardships and joys and victories that they have experienced in life, you will find something there that you can connect with and empathize with. And it makes it easier to realize that that person is a human being just like you. And so it's important, I believe, to know your own story and to understand your own story. And then to understand that you carry the pen that writes your story. And in every story, there are 3 main characters. There are 3 main characters. There are the heroes, there are the villains, and there are the victims. And most people live their life somewhere between a victim and a villain. Most people are the villain of their own story. And they don't realize that at any point, they can rewrite the story to be the hero. At any point, you can rewrite your story to be the hero. And not all heroes have heroes. Some of them have life jackets. So, why I think that matters, before we start talking about social media, who's on social media? Raise your hand if you're on Instagram. Raise your hand if you're on Snapchat. Raise your hand if you use TikTok. Yeah, I'm telling you, this time next year, everybody's gonna be on it. Facebook. And we already talked about LinkedIn. The thing about social media is that we forget sometimes how to treat other people through the internet. Here's the secret. The secret is treat people on the internet exactly as you would if you were sitting next to them. Have total alignment with who you are on Instagram as who you are in person. Be the same person on every platform. Speak the same way to other people wherever you are. Because the internet is a small world. And people remember how you make them feel. And how you make them feel is largely dependent upon how you treat them and how you talk to them. So, when you go on the internet and you start a LinkedIn account, or you're on Instagram, or Snapchat, or Facebook, or any platform, understand your story first so that you understand how to portray yourself. And then don't be afraid to share your story. Because if you share your story, other people will be able to connect with your story. And that's how we make new friends. So, LinkedIn is my favorite platform. It is, has anyone here never heard of LinkedIn? So that's okay. So LinkedIn is, it's a business networking tool. It's a very powerful tool. It has a lot of features. It has all sorts of cool stuff that it can do. I found vendors on there, people who provide services to me. I've used it to find clients. I've used it to do background checks on interns who became people I work with full time. Checked out Val's LinkedIn. We were talking about working together. I said, yo, Val, if we're going to work together, you better get this LinkedIn cleaned up. You can use LinkedIn to find jobs, to find internships, to find coaches, to find mentors. The most powerful thing that I found about LinkedIn is I realized that I have a lot to learn. Does anybody here feel like they have a lot to learn? The crazy thing about learning stuff is that most of the stuff you want to learn, somebody else already knows it. The even crazier thing is that once you ask somebody to help you understand something and learn something new, they're usually willing to share it. Especially when you're in high school and college. So my recommendation when you get started on LinkedIn is, first of all, make sure you have a good profile picture. Don't rip a selfie. No group shots. Nothing with Richard Branson.
Who's Richard Branson?
Richard Branson's the British dude with the long hair. He owns all these businesses, like Virgin Airlines and Mobile and it's a total wild card. But what you see is people on LinkedIn take pictures with Richard Branson or Gary Vee or name the famous person of your choice. Who's a famous person? You know any famous people?
It's the first that come to mind.
Beyonce, Kanye. You see people with a picture on their LinkedIn profile with Kanye, and it's like, dude, you're not friends with Kanye. Don't pretend, right? Just have a nice picture of yourself. You can switch out that background image. Make it something that's important to you. Use images to tell your story. So if the environment or Washington if that's important to you, put a Washington rainforest up there, or the Seattle skyline, because that can become a conversation point. And it should be. Because you will do the same thing once you start connecting with other people. You read their profile, you see what they're about, and you send a message that says, hi, my name is, I'm a student learning this, and then ask them something, ask them a question. Ask them if they want to meet for coffee to mentor or teach you, okay? Use this tool right now to find connections with mentors and people who can help you grow in your career and in your life. Who can do that? Cool. That'll be enough to move the needle. Those hands weren't up beside that time. That's all I know. That's all I know. So find mentors, find people who will teach you, coach you, show you the ropes. Find people who have the job that you want to have one day. And ask them if they would do a call or meet to talk about it. So create your profile, start connecting with people, connect with mentors, connect with your mom and dad's business contacts, connect with people in your industry, and think about your dream job. Who here has a dream job? What's your dream job? To be a veterinarian? Right on. Cool. Is there anybody in the veterinary space that you want to meet? Okay. All right. So it's cool. You can just go on and just start connecting with veterinarians. All right. What level are you? Are you in high school or college?
High school,
Cool. What grade?
June, so 11th grade.
Awesome. So you can.
We just interviewed an awesome veterinarian in the Wyomissing Animal Hospital that I'd love to connect you with, and I bet you'd love if you shadowed her.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
How cool is that? And so you can do the same thing on LinkedIn. When you create your LinkedIn account, everybody make sure you connect with Rachel, connect with Trish, connect with me. Miss, what's your name?
Erica?
Connect with Erica, connect with Val. Just connect with everybody. And then don't be afraid to ask for help. Hey, I want to be a veterinarian. Do you know anybody who is a veterinarian, went to veterinarian school, the whole 9 yards, right? You ask, just ask. Can you connect me with? Is a great ask because it doesn't take much energy for the other person to do it, and it makes them feel good. All right? It doesn't take much energy for the other person to do it, and it makes them feel good. And it helps you. That's a great ask. So before you send a message, think to myself, is it easy for this person to do it? Is there a benefit to them? And it will make them feel good is a benefit. That counts. And then make sure it applies to you. So you want to be a veterinarian? So go on and do a search. Veterinarians in the area. Connect with them. Ask them if you could come shadow them for a day. Anybody else have a dream job?
Physician's assistant.
Cool. Physician's assistant. So if you live in the area, there are a ton of hospitals and health networks in the area. Start connecting with PAs. Hey, what did it take to get where you are? When you were my age, what choices did you make that got you where you are? And what would you do differently? Right? Pretty simple questions. It won't take them too long to answer it. And they're helping you out, and they'll be happy to do so. Any other dream jobs?
For right now, I want to be a teacher, but at the end of the day, I would love to own my own museum for science and be the director of the museum and create curriculum for kids to come and have fun.
Awesome.
I know someone you can talk to.
Jim Sinelli?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's interesting you said it that way. Right now, don't pursue the for now or the kind is. Just go for it. If that's what you want to do, be all in. You know? Don't say, well, it's more realistic that if you want to do something, then do it. Go for it. Ask for help. Because there are people who want to see you succeed. Let somebody else tell you no. Don't you tell you no. Does that make sense? Because so many times we tell ourselves no before we give anybody else a chance to. And we stop our dreams short. And then they never happen. But it's our fault. And that's part of rewriting the story. Our hero doesn't say, well, can this happen? The hero says, how can I make this happen? Who do I need to talk to? What do I need to do? What do I need to be thinking about? How can I get a little bit better today than I was yesterday? All right? So, when you create your LinkedIn account, connect with everybody here, and then think about your dream job, and connect with 5 people a day for the rest of the summer who have the job you want to have, or something similar. Any questions? Yes.
Could you talk a little bit about kind of the resume-ish function that LinkedIn can serve? Since so
Absolutely.
many people look for a job, or recruiters look at your LinkedIn profile, so you should have a good resume on there.
Absolutely, yeah. So when you fill out your LinkedIn profile, LinkedIn makes it really, really easy to do. It's like following a recipe. You just follow the recipe and at the end you have the cake, right? LinkedIn guides you through the process. Here's how you switch out your profile. Here's the information you should have. So right now, you might not have a ton of job experience. You might not have 15 different jobs you've already had. That's okay. Fill out your experience section thoroughly with your information, because what LinkedIn does is you can click a button and export your resume from your LinkedIn profile. The other thing you can do when you apply for jobs or internships or other things like that is you can, essentially what you do is you apply with your LinkedIn profile. So the LinkedIn profile serves as a resume, but only if you fill it out completely. What's nice about it is it's a little different from a traditional resume in that you can put anecdotes in there, right? So it doesn't have to be a bullet point of, I can do this, 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 and this. In your experience section, when you're talking about your education experience and your work experience, you tell the story of what you learned and how you grew. And then there's a whole section for skills where you can put the skills that you have. And don't be afraid to put the basics. I know how to use Microsoft. I know how to use Google Docs. I know how to use... You go through the things you know how to use, because none of that should be taken for granted, because employers may or may not know that. Or they might say, oh, well, if you can... If chemistry is a skill, and you know how to use Excel, that's exactly what we're looking for, right? So just whatever skills you have, put them in there. And LinkedIn will take you through the process and help you to fill it out. Fill out the whole thing, as detailed as you can. All right? And then, when you have it done, and you think it's perfect, have somebody else look at it, make it a little bit better, and then reach out to Val or I. Connect with us on there. We'll be happy to take a look at your profile and give you some tips on how you can make it a little bit stronger. Okay? But you just fill out the whole thing, put all the information you can out there, and talk about what you've learned in your experience and your skills. And then when you start connecting with people, they'll be able to share your profile. So that's something you can do too, is would you please share my profile with XYZ person? And then it makes it really easy to get the conversation started. Any questions? If you could just come up with one, please. That was really helpful to have a question. Yeah. Just come up with a question, please. I'm asking, man.
This is informative.
You can phone a friend. Go ahead.
I'll take a minute. Do people on LinkedIn now find it unusual when people they've never heard of before reach out to them, honestly? Like even just, like I'm not sure like if it's
Yeah.
like Facebook where you add them as a friend, where you follow their content, but is it not weird to reach out to people who have no idea who you are?
Great question.
Good question.
So I have a client, and he's always like, this guy on LinkedIn, I think he's trying to copy my business model. I'm going to unfriend him. Like, he's not your friend. Okay? So on LinkedIn, you have connections, right? So it's just like a networking app, right? Facebook, you have friends. So your friends, there's like a certain emotional connection you're probably going into. Right? On LinkedIn, it's like a business networking event. At a business networking event, it's expected, as you get into the workforce, it will be expected of you to go talk to people who you've never seen or talked to before in your life. And usually ask them for something. Right? So it's a little weird and hard to get used to initially. So the big thing is making sure you have a good opening. Trish was talking about that before, and it's the same thing you would do in person. When you send a LinkedIn message and you're connecting with someone you haven't met before, attach a message so when you click connect on LinkedIn, you can add a message to that connection request. So when you do that, put a message in there that introduces yourself and pretty clearly just tells them what you're looking for. So if you're looking for to connect with veterinarians, you say, "Hi, my name is," what's your name? Natalie. "Hi, my name's Natalie. I really want to be a veterinarian. Animals are my passion and they have been my whole life. I see that you're an accomplished veterinarian." We'll compliment in there a little bit, right? As long as it's genuine. "I see you're an accomplished veterinarian. I would love to learn a little bit about it from you. Is it too much to ask for a 5-minute call? Or for a coffee? Or for some advice? Or for you to connect me with somebody else?" Right? So that's it. Just make your intention very clear. If you're just going through and connecting with people and you're not messaging, that is connecting with people without intention. That doesn't really do anybody any good. Great question.
Thank you. So we are going to, Mr. Seifert and I, John Seifert and I are going to give the 10-minute introduction to what SRI is for all of our visitors. And we are right now, I think, the only thing standing between the pizza and everyone else. So.